So you like the Chiefs draft, do you? Well, guess what? They're not done. They wanted to do a few more things, bring in a couple more options, and they certainly did it. We're going to talk to it today. We're going to answer your questions today, and we're going to get into everything that happens from today on forward right now here on Locked On or RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. This is RGR Football, not Locked On. I've been doing that for like 6 days straight, so it's kind of been a rut. I'm Ryan. This is Dan. Hope you guys are doing well. The biggest event of the offseason is over, but this is just where the work begins. We're pretty excited about it, and the Chiefs wasted no time and got super busy. Right now, today, we're going to get into that. We're going to answer your questions. If you are new to us, this is what we do on Monday nights. We answer your questions. Make sure that you like this video. Make sure you sub to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell so that you know what comes next. You'll get a nice little notification. We're going to get into it. Dan Harms, our lead film analyst. Man, I don't even know where to start.
There's no other place to start, man. It's just going to get into it. But before we start, I want to mention Chris Comments had a super chat in the last live stream that I did on Saturday, and I missed it. I apologize. Thank you very much, Chris, for the support and saying that you have mad respect for me as a father. I appreciate you, and I hope you get to see this because I feel bad for missing it.
It happens, and unfortunately, especially when everybody's excited and everybody's throwing in, it does make it tough. But guys, we really do thank you for your support, especially the super chats. They go a long way in helping us expand everything that we do, whether it's film access, editing, lighting. Look at the background in Dan's shot from, 6 months ago. It's night and day.
It's ridiculous.
That's even without the concierge of Miss Avery in the back there. So we're going to keep working on that, and that's thanks to you and your support. For everybody who bought the draft guide, I hope that you enjoyed it. It had a lot of good stuff in there, and a lot of stuff went according to those lines. We are going to do things bigger and better for you. And if you haven't yet, go check out NFL33.com. That's our new draft-specific, team-building specific. So it's not just draft. It'll be all this UDFA stuff, trades, that kind of breakdown. But we're going to talk about the whole league, how it functions, and how it goes forward. And now that we're past the draft, I wanted to give you guys everything free for the draft. We'll start having some paid subscription-only posts that go forward. I'm going to do a top 10, and if I can bring myself to do it this next weekend, I'm going to do an early mock draft for next year.
Woo!
Just to take a look at the other prospects that weren't in this draft. So that said, let's get into it. One announcement from the Mod Mother. Liz Morrow is now one of our moderators as well, and just wanted to give her a shout out. With Aaron changing his schedule and everything, it's now a family recreation.
Nice.
In taking care of our chat. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate you doing
Thank you,
this
Liz.
as well.
Awesome.
Tons of good stuff. I know it's not the funnest job all the time. It's going to be good. So we'll start answering your questions. If you guys want to throw the super chats, we will definitely get them. If you do, please ask a question. I want to get you something for it. And if you can, if you're not going to do a super chat, perfectly fine. We'll answer your questions anyway, but put some question marks at the beginning. It so helps us find them, and we won't see any accidents in the Harms household tonight. So what other moves would you like to see them make? Honestly, the Justyn Ross was one in the back of my mind that I really wanted to see them do. We'll talk about their UDFA class. He's like the cherry on top. That's the UDFA class is really good. We'll talk about that in the coming days. We're going to grade every selection they made as well, so you guys will see that. But the other thing that I would say is, if you feel or you hear there's somebody out there that can help your team, go get them. Go do it now. This deal for Lonnie Johnson is a screaming deal. And it's just the kind of thing that can put a team over the top. So I'm really happy that they did it. I'm proud that they made the move there. Avery, hope you're doing well. Like to say, I absolutely love our organization. It's not just for a great draft, but being leaders. You're right. Broke the HBCU drought. He's a good player. I think that he fits it's funny. Everybody they drafted, and now that they traded for Lonnie Johnson, they're all the classic Chiefs guys. They're long, they're tall, they have good speed. The only guy who's not is Trent McDuffie, who they just love so much. It's like when they departed ways and like broke with their tradition for Marcus Peters, who didn't fit all of their norms either. So I really like that. And man, this chance for Ross is going to be great. Thank you for that, Avery. Night Hunter. I went back and watched some film on Leo. He hunts and hits like DJ did in his heyday. He hits harder than DJ did. I mean, let's be real.
He's bigger than DJ, isn't he? I think he's a bit bigger.
I think he is an inch taller, and I know he's heavier.
He's 250, like the dudes.
Yeah. When he's going after it, it's good. I see a lot of people asking pass rush questions about him. I'm sure we'll get some tonight. I saw limited actual pass rush snaps off the edge as a Sam kind of thing, and they were okay. That's not his thing. It might be able to become one of his things, but it's not his thing right now. So, Dan, did you see something that I missed?
I may have, and if you guys are interested in all of my opinions about what they could use him as, tomorrow will be the Leo Chenal film review. So that's going to drop tomorrow. So you guys can just watch that, just see everything that I saw and get as pumped up as I was after I got done watching his tape.
I think that's really interesting. And Avery brought it up here as well about, trying to use him in that role. Now, nobody's going to be Micah Parsons, so you won't hear me make that comparison. But the fact is, he accelerates great. He can corner. And Leo, I think, from what I saw in film, wasn't asked to drop very much. And if he was, he dropped to a location. Mm-hmm. And he was fine at that. He wasn't terribly instinctive once he got there. So he wasn't cross-reading routes or making anticipatory plays. That will come. My favorite thing about what he said after his selection was, all the things that you guys think I'm really good at now, I wasn't good at 3 years ago. So before his rookie contract is up, I think he'll make a lot of progress as well. He's more on the raw side, but I love that.
It's going to be fun. I think that he has I personally think he has some athleticism to play in space as a coverage type of guy, but it's more about learning. And you said that he said he's willing to learn. He wants to get better at things. So the fact that he's done that to this point, and he does have the footwork, and I think he has the hip movement to be able to play in space as a coverage guy. I won't say like a true coverage kind of guy. I think there is some upside to that.
Yeah. Right now I treat him and Nick Bolton as kind of the same thing. Very good at dropping to a spot. What Nick improved over his college film is once he got to that spot, he actually was able to adapt and anticipate plays, routes, what the receiver was going to do. That's where I think he took a step ahead of what I thought he would do last season. But that doesn't mean that Leo can't either. I don't know that I want either of them to turn and run with, say, a running back out of the backfield or have to take a tight end deep.
Definitely not.
That's the difference. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you guys were so down on Nick. Well, we were trying to be honest. He's still not a man coverage linebacker. He's just a lot better at everything else than I expected him to be as a rookie. So you can put that on me. Give Dan a break. That's my fault.
Well, it's mine too. Like I said, I don't think we were wrong. He was way better at the things that we knew he'd be good at. Like we knew he'd be a downhill, go get the run kind of guy, but he was even better than I expected him to be at that early on. So like we try to project him for being that, and he just outreached our own expectations. So there's always that possibility that things just don't work out the way you initiated. And that's what I'm hoping happens with George Karlaftis. Just a little, so everyone knows.
Man, I am hoping as well. Knock on wood. I think that there's a lot of things. And everybody, just to clarify, everyone, when we say we don't like a guy in the first, that doesn't mean we don't like him. That doesn't mean we don't have a draftable grade on. As you saw, both of our boards had Karlaftis in the mid-second.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about value. Definitely still like him in this role. It's just that he does something that the Chiefs really like. I want them to do a little bit more is what I'm saying. So I will say this. And I know there'll be questions about it, so we'll just head it off at the pass here. I think Karlaftis, I don't think he's tapped out. When you talk to like the national scouts, a lot of them think that he has no upside, that he is what he's going to be, and I disagree with that. He has not played long enough to be good with his hands or to stack leverage like he's capable of. He's got upside. The question is whether he's going to be able to bend around that, because some of those things do take into effect that you have to corner a little bit better. He hasn't trained that way. I think he'll be able to get there. So that's where we're starting this one. Take Ross's question. I'll stack some questions.
All right. Thank you, Ross, for the question. What will the NASCAR package look like this year? So, if you guys didn't know, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. Melvin Ingram has received the UFA tag, which means that after July 22nd, if he is not signed by another team or offered a sheet, I think that the Chiefs can match, then he will play his 2022 season for the Kansas City Chiefs. If he signs a deal somewhere else, the Chiefs will get a compensatory pick next year for him. So, as of now, the way it stands, you can project Melvin Ingram to be a guy in that NASCAR look package with your pass rushers. It will look like Frank Clark, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and then Melvin Ingram.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
I like that. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of people concerned about Joe Cullen coming to this staff and about the Chiefs moving to a 3-4. If the Chiefs move to a 3-4, like even as a hybrid, like they do want to throw that look out sometimes, Karlaftis can play a 5-tech.
Exactly.
That's in my evaluation as well. Like, so that's part of it too, is like, if you're looking for a speed edge, he's not that, even though his first step is good. But if you're looking for a power edge that can then become a 5 technique in some fronts, he's got all of that.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're going to do that, but in the back of my head, it's like, oh, if they choose to go that way, like he doesn't have to come off the field for that, even as a rookie. And that's a big plus. Boston and the Chiefs opting to get a bigger CB recently in the draft picks in the trade for Lonnie Johnson Jr. I love the Lonnie Johnson trade. I freaking love it. For one thing, his first tweet was to say, hey, Kelsey, we're all good now.
Yeah.
That's something, because he got embarrassed.
He was embarrassed.
Because Travis had his way, and that's okay. But here's the thing. I had him as a second round, like dev corner. Like he had the tools, but he didn't know what to do. And quite frankly, between you and me and the wall, Houston did him no favors. There's very few people who have been in Houston the last 3 years that got better. So I'm discounting all of that. He's still got all those tools. He has not had any significant injuries. And they played him out of position last year and made him a free damn safety. Drove me nuts. His worst reps last season were the first half where they played him as a free safety. He did play some split along with Justin Reed. So, folks, there's a connection there.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, like when these picks were being made, Justin Reed is very active on social media. The Chiefs were retweeting that stuff and putting that out there. They want him to become the new leader, especially in the secondary, but maybe the whole defense. That goes a long way in pulling along somebody like Lonnie Johnson. The question will be, what I get a lot of these, and thank you for that question, Chris, because you led into Zach's question. Will he be an impact at all? I hate to tell you, folks, Lonnie Johnson's in the mix to be a starter on this team.
Yep.
And I know you're not ready to hear that, and I don't blame you, but that is the truth. Because experience has gone a very, very long way, and you can't really get away from it. So I'm not saying that he will be. It should be, in my mind, McDuffie, Fenton, and Snead, obviously. That doesn't mean it has to be all the time. There's a lot of things that can move around there. And Fenton, I wouldn't mind seeing him play from safety too. I'm just saying.
There's an interesting dynamic now that the Chiefs have told you with their draft. They don't believe in just about anybody outside of their starters. And they think that they desperately need bodies, guys with upside talent to play that. And specifically, outside of McDuffie, bigger corners. Lonnie Johnson, 6'2". Joshua Williams, 6'3". Their seventh rounder, I forget his name. 6'2",
hey,
too. Like
something's blowing up upstairs. I'm gonna run.
Yeah, something is going. Like, so it's all about that. They think that this secondary needed a definite boost in everything. So you have the size now, you have the length, and Lonnie Johnson brings experience. And I think that he's definitely gonna push for a starting spot. So that's my opinion. Thanks for the question, Avery. As far as recovery goes, what percentage are you two at? Awesome coverage from both of you the whole time last week. Thank you again. Well, excuse me. Thank you for joining me just about every single day and every single stream. I appreciate you and everybody else that was. It was awesome. You guys' support and show out was great. Well, yesterday I took my daughter into Kansas City and spent all day out. So I am just about not even close to recovered. It was a lot. It was a long day. I had a great time. Obviously, she had a good time. Then we went to the park after we got back. Like, it's just, I've been going. And then all day today. And last night I did the Chenal film. So You know, I'm recovering, but it's a different kind of recovering. I spent time with her and tried to get my own head on straight. And as far as Ryan goes, I mean, Ryan drove in today or yesterday, today. So Ryan has got even less recovery time than I do.
I flew, thank God.
Oh, that's right.
It's been crazy. Yeah. Whew. Sorry for the alarm, folks. Dogs lost their minds a little bit.
They did.
I wanted to get this one out too. Thank you, Oscar. Because thank you to Dan.
Thank you, Oscar,
for holding down the channel.
Appreciate you.
While I was playing on television. I don't know how many of you folks got to see that, but I will tell you this. I have new respect for what Mel Kiper does. Because Mel Kiper is a decade older than me. And I was wore out by the 5th round. 18 straight hours in 3 chunks. Live television. It was difficult. I will tell you that. But luckily, there was only 4 prospects that I didn't have some kind of stat or eval on. So not as good as Dave Brugler yet, but I'm working on it.
Good for you.
Nobody's Dane. Anthony, same question. Yep, exactly. Like, I don't think he's a depth guy. If he is, he's right there. I could see McDuffie playing inside at the nickel and let Fenton and Lonnie play outside if that's the way it comes down. I could see McDuffie on the outside and Snead staying at nickel. I don't know. What do you got?
That's more of what I think. I think we're going to see right now in base McDuffie on the outside with Snead, and now it's a battle to see who comes off the bench on the nickel spot and is going to be that outside guy. I think they want to still have L'Jarius Snead as an outside / slot. I feel like that's what they want. And as far as we're all concerned, I think would be better suited just playing on the outside. But in my opinion, with what they've done with their corners, with the height, they want somebody else out there. And I personally think that they drafted McDuffie to be an outside corner. To trade up to get him, I don't think they're going to peg him in the slot. So that's what I think is going to happen.
I like it. Zach, the DB group getting improved, what could they do for the D line? Well, the Melvin tag is good.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're either going to get Melvin or you're going to get a comp pick. And I think that means they're going to get Melvin. So, like, that's a plus. There are some free agents out there, too. I hear a lot of folks talking about Akeem Hicks. I'm okay with that. It's about the price tag at this point for me. But, like, I think there are some select guys that you could still pursue. I will tell you this. I think and I think this whole weekend just emphasizes even more how much the league is totally blown away by how much wide receivers cost right now.
Yep.
So I do think that there's still some room for other people that might want to move some other assets around because they went and got receiver or they need receiver or something like that. Yep. I think there could be more trade still.
There's going to be a lot of stuff happening over the next couple of weeks. A lot.
Yeah, I have to think so. Alex, I think this is an incredible move. From what I understand, the signing bonus was like, I've heard multiple reports, but I'll just average them like $12K. So, like, you're talking about a $250,000 investment in a guy that 3 years ago was the best receiver in college football. Hands down. And I know he's had a long list of injuries, but if they give him the Herring treatment and they just put him on NFI and they leave him there and he recovers for a year, he could come back and be the best receiver on this roster in 2 years.
Yeah, I'm interested. It's going to be more, in my opinion, it's more of a case of re-injury. You get hit back there, it could end his career. Like, it literally could end his career. That's the reason he wasn't drafted, because one hit could end his career. So you're putting a lot of he's landed in the best spot with one of the best medical teams in the entire NFL. So the Chiefs obviously know that. They've taken some player risks with injuries, and they're trying to average that out and evaluate it. So I do think he will be a guy that is set aside for the whole year. I don't think you're going to see him play at all. But the simple fact of the matter is, like you said, he was the best receiver in college football. He was the unquestioned best receiver in the college football in 2019 before he hurt himself. Yeah. Unquestioned. Like, he was everywhere. He was the best receiver on that Clemson team with all those guys, with T. Higgins, with everybody. He was the best one. We're talking about it like this could be one of the best UDFA signings ever if everything gets to its peak potential. Like, we're talking that's peak potential, but still, it's there for it. It's possible. Like,
I wholeheartedly agree with that. That it's crazy. And folks, you'll get a lot of opinion too. Everybody's in the chat tonight, it looks like. Liz is in here for Aaron, our newest moderator. Stevie Keys is in the house. You can see more of him and Aaron and Gooch soon. Let's see. Sean made it in. I love that. A lot of our regulars are here. Going to highlight all your questions, and we're just trying to work through them as we get going.
Thank you.
Yes, it was a good move. Okay, I had that one. Yes, thank you, Chad. Appreciate you very much. Thank you guys for what you did for the draft and leading up to it. I was able to catch both of you in some of the draft. Cool, rock on. As always, good to see you. Thank you for the support, Chad. And I hope all of our work made it more fun and like more interesting to see what other teams were doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing that I'm going to do is put out a top 5 of who crushed it, who won the draft. Right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I would like to do the kind of the opposite and kind of make fun of some of the classes.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Let's do that. Because I'll tell you, the Chiefs are among the top 5 in this draft class.
Easy.
It's hard to beat the damn Ravens, though. I got to tell you,
the Ravens and even the Jets, outside of them taking a running back in the second round, right? Their first round with those three picks, like
among Robert the best. Saleh should be turning cartwheels.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Even the Lions, man. I think the Lions had a great draft.
Yeah, they did well for themselves too. Justyn Ross, Cardinal Powell, MVS, Sky Moore. How do you feel about the future of the wide receiver core? Juju's in there too. And Hardman's in there. They were both on contract years, basically.
Uh-huh.
I think there's a lot of possibility, but everybody that you just named, Ross is a question. Cornell Powell is a serious question. I'm not sure he makes it through camp. Sorry, Dan.
I know. I'm upset.
I mean, Sky looks to be the future playmaker. MVS looks to be the future stretcher. Like, who else comes in there? It could be Ross. It could be Hardman. It could be Juju. Like, there's enough. And honestly, I think in 2 years, there's probably another receiver in this roster that's making noise that isn't on this roster yet.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I tweeted it out earlier today. If my Cornell Powell dream has to die so that Justyn Ross can live, I'm okay with it. I'll live.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Cornell got a nice signing bonus. If he doesn't work out, you can't make it happen for him. But you're going to upgrade it from another Clemson dude. James Williams, thank you for your support. Appreciate you. When do you think that you'll do that? Do you think they'll go into a nickel package? They might have a Leo slide to defensive end. Like, they don't usually run a Leo because it's a little more from the other scheme. Like, he likes to call ends and leave backers. But I think there's a possibility that you can use like Chenal for that. I honestly think, what did I say? I think I said that Nick Bolton was one of the 5 best blitzing linebackers his senior year or the year he came out from Mizzou. He's the 3rd best blitzer of the linebackers on this roster because Chenal's better. That's what he does best. Willie's a great blitzer too. Like, I would almost rather see them just stick with a 4-man front and blitz their linebackers more. I would love to see that because Chenal is a dang rocket at 250 pounds. Like, I mean, he brings 30 pounds more than Willie does. And he's nearly as quick downhill. I mean, nobody's really as quick as Willie Gay, but it is what it is. It's going to be incredible. Okay, working through all these. Thank you, James. We appreciate you. Jonathan, do you think that we could still sign a veteran DE or wide receiver that is remaining or not? I have to check the cap number. It won't be updated until I think Wednesday. But I don't think they have a ton of room left, especially now that they put that tag. They've basically committed to the 4.4 for Melvin. So that comes off. So they might only have 8-ish left. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have to see. That might be the precursor. But they could always make another trade or another move. What's interesting in the Lonnie Johnson trade is they didn't give up a player in return. It was just for a conditional draft pick, which, again, is just super sick value for a guy who started, I think, 28 games in the league. That's nothing. It's a hamburger. Still crazy. Welcome to the memberships. If you're at the rookie level, let me know with rgrpodcast@gmail.com so I can get you in the Discord. You'll have one of my rants this week from all the BS that I think is being thrown around about the Chargers and being able to all of a sudden dominate the Chiefs again. I know it's a new year, so like the talking heads have to start that crap, but it is what it is. Welcome you, Dominic. Appreciate you joining as well. Alex, seems like Veach sent a message with all the physicality of the defensive picks.
Yeah, definitely.
You like that?
I love it. This is probably my favorite point of the entire draft, because if you look at what they did last year with the offensive line, they said, okay, so our offensive line was athletic and was not enforcing at all. So they said, okay, we're going to go and get some power. And Tooney's maybe not like the nastiest guy in the world, but he'll move
Right.
you. He will move you. Creed Humphrey is a mauler. He wants to finish too. And obviously Trey Smith, the biggest of them all, wants to do that too. He's all about it. And clearly Orlando Brown is a big dude who wants to maul you. They set a tone, and it made their offense better. They didn't use it to their best ability, but it made them better. They're going to do the same thing on the defense, and they're going to start hitting people. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, I love that. And here's the thing. All that is absolutely true. And then they went away from that only in case where they loved the player. And that's Trent McDuffie.
Exactly.
That really just says that we're going to go in this direction unless you give us a really good reason
Right.
to step aside from that. And honestly, it's the same thing they did for Marcus Peters, because Marcus Peters didn't have the fastest 40. He didn't have all the things, like his arm length was it was better than McDuffie's, but it wasn't up to their normal standard. I think he was right at 31, and they had been going like 32 the last couple of years. So like it was a little iffy, right? But it was about how he played. And for McDuffie, it's not about the ball production like it was for Marcus. It's about the fact that he sees and realizes everything, and people don't throw at him because he cuts stuff off a lot better. For me,
so quick.
I think with he and L'Jarius on the outside, you can play more zone more effectively. And as much as I'm not really into that, I think in today's league, you have to play more zone than you used to. So I'm okay if they shift to more of a zone overall. They called 36% man last year. They were one of the top 5 in the league. So I think there's room to come off of that and still stay middle of the pack is my thought.
I agree with that. They're going to have to, especially because I think the way they're sculpting this defense is they understand they're going to lean into the collapsing the pocket thing, in my opinion, because that's what Spags wants to do. So they're saying, okay, if we can give our guys an extra half second to a second with better coverage guys on the end, then that gives them an opportunity to convert those pressures into sacks. I think that's what they're leaning into.
I'm with you. I mean, and that just it makes things clean, but it also makes things simple for the rookies. For Karlaftis, it's just do what you did in college. Crush that tackle into the quarterback's lap. We'll worry about hand technique and getting you to dip and rip a little bit more, because he did show flashes every now and then of being able to change his pad level and get under some guys. I think with more practice, he can get good at that, and that can be a secondary thing for him. Because we have a hater. Oh, sorry. I must have hit the wrong one. Sorry, Stevie. I'm not trying to put you on blast. I just clicked the wrong thing here. Hope Chiefs get Clowney or at least bring in Ingram. Do you think that's possible? Jamie, yeah, they're going to get Ingram unless somebody signs him for more than the 4.4. And the Steelers were the only team willing to do it last year, so I can't think that there's any more this year.
Agreed.
So I think Melvin plays for this team. Teddy, thank you for your support. I predict Kennard starts most of the year at right tackle. Also, do you think that the lineup at wide receiver goes as XMVS, Z to Sky and Juju sharing, and the slot to Juju and Sky? I think you're forgetting McCole Hardman. Let's not do that, because McCole knows this offense the best of anybody on the roster right now.
Yeah.
I don't think McColl's going to go quiet into that good night, if you know what I mean. I can't say he won't be surpassed eventually. I think keeping Sky Moore off the field is going to be a tough job. The fact that they moved back and still got him is incredible to me. Yeah, like that's, I don't know.
It's not even just that they moved back. It's that the Patriots went up and got Tyquan Thornton
on purpose.
On purpose, they traded up to get him, and then you saw George Pickens go. You saw Alec Pierce go, and then the Chiefs said, hey, guess what? We're getting the best out of the 3. The guy that could be right now and be the best receiver out of those 4 guys that were selected right then. He's the guy that is going to be the best right now and still has upside. Like that's, and then he turned that 5th round pick into Darian Kennard. He was just like, hey guys, I'll take that 5th and I'll make him one of the best values in the draft. Thank you very much.
Now I cannot talk trash on Bill Belichick. Bill helped me out this weekend.
Really?
because of 35. I can't remember who put it out, but somebody checked 35 major media top fives at quarterback. I was the only
Yeah,
one
right.
that got all 5 of them. I'm the only one. And it is because Bill Belichick went and got Bailey Zappi in the 4th when he just drafted Mac Jones. Like, I knew Zappi was decent quality. I didn't think he, of all people, would take him with Mac Jones. I got nothing. But thanks, Bill. Appreciate
Well, thank you, Bill. Man, that's funny.
right.
Oh, God. I will say one thing. I don't think that Kennard's ready to play tackle yet at the NFL level.
That was my worry as well. He slid because of his feet, folks.
Yeah, he's like everything that we knock Niang for, like most of its injuries. I think he's athletic enough to play the position. He's proved that. But he's got some slower feet because he's 6'7". Kennard is not even anywhere close to where Niang was coming out with his feet. And that's the biggest thing. He was being projected to be pushed inside. But I do think he's going to play as a swing tackle / backup right tackle in Kansas City.
I think so too. And I'll tell you this. From what I understand, he dropped 20 pounds from the Senior Bowl when he got embarrassed a couple of times.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing is he had a tendency to get his weight, and he did kind of have I'm the last person in the world that should say this, but he did have kind of a gut that hung out front, and he had a tendency to get overextended and lose his balance forward in the tapes that I watched.
Mm-hmm.
And so dropping that weight will allow him to recenter himself, and I think it'll quicken his feet as well. If he does that, I have a theory on what their plan is. I'll put that in a short video this week later because I want to solidify 2 little things, and then I'll have a better idea. But I said it like this, and Dane Brugler agreed with me. Kennard in 2 years could be the Trey Smith of 2022 and be the steal of the draft.
And that's why the Chiefs took him, because there's question marks. And you have no draft capital in Lucas Niang. He was a 3rd-round pick. You can say goodbye to Lucas Niang whenever you want to if you don't think he's going to be there. And if Kennard's pushing him, which he's been working with, I just lost his
Duke.
Duke. He's been working with Duke. You want to know 2 other guys that worked with Duke last year? Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey. Kind of worked out pretty well. So Lucas has got some competition. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's from the Chiefs' perspective. That's what you have to get. I like Lucas. I think he sounds like a very solid person. But if he can't stay healthy, he can't stay healthy. And we got to remember, he fell to the Chiefs for the fact that he was ripped up to begin with. He had a torn labrum when they drafted him. So this is not just like a new phenomenon of injury.
Exactly.
David, thank you for the support.
Thank you,
Appreciate
David.
you very much.
You.
Mac, welcome back. Thank you for the support. What is your dream and realistic 6-man wide receiver room next year? Would you see more double mug or 5-man fronts with Leo on passing downs? Okay, wide receiver room. Cole, Juju, MVS, obviously. If everything works out correctly, Sky Moore will probably become the 2, in my opinion. So he's 4 in terms of the room. I would love to see Ross make it. Hardman, obviously. Wait, I already said Hardman, didn't I? Okay. So that leaves one spot. Like, I'd like to see Ross make it. I would say Fountain would probably be the 6 for special teams. I don't know. Somebody I'm forgetting.
I don't honestly. They have a lot of receivers right now.
Yeah.
They got a lot of guys, and there's a lot of UDFAs too. So I'm just trying to. I think that the 3 starters we all know, Juju, MVS, McColl. I think those guys are going to be the starters week 1. That's what that's going to be. I think again, Sky Moore's 4. I am going to say it because I have to. I've invested enough in it. Cornell Powell is the 6. I have to say it. Okay. I don't think Ross is going to be on the roster. I think it'll be medically away.
Yeah, he may just have a medical red shirt the whole time.
Yeah, and if Powell wants to make this team, he'll have to not only work at the route stuff, but try to find a way to make an impact on special teams, as well as Fountain / actually no, because I don't think Gordon can make this roster the way it works out. Because he won't play special teams. At least Coleman has special teams going for him.
There is that. I mean, I don't know. I have no faith in Coleman.
I don't either, but I'm just saying I have more faith in him to make a last roster spot because he can return kicks. Gordon can't.
We haven't even seen him do that in 2 years, though.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. I think that Fountain can also make it too. So if you get those 5 with Powell and Sky at the very end, and then have Fountain be the special teams guy with mix. I don't know. That's probably my dream scenario, which is also a little realistic because I don't think that Ross is going to be ready to come. If Ross it makes this team,
look out.
Look out.
Yeah.
Justyn Ross is going to play if he makes this team. I tell you right now.
If Justyn Ross makes this roster, so your starters are McCole, Juju, MVS, Sky Moore, and Ross is the guy that comes in, Tyree who? Because that ball's going to move.
It won't matter.
Going to move. I'm telling you. Okay. Do you see more double mug or 5-man fronts? I wouldn't say 5-man fronts. Spags wants a Spags, and it's going to be 4-man front, in my opinion. But I do think that you're going to see a lot more sugaring, and I think hopefully they will send more 5-man through the A gaps. Chenal through the A gap is a recipe for disaster for the offense, and I am here for it all day long. The other nice thing is you can sugar both he and Willie or he and Nick and change it up so that you're not getting the same gap every time. And that will create a little bit more uncertainty for the quarterbacks. And I love that scenario as well. Thank you, Mac. Appreciate you. Teddy, also, I'm the only one concerned that they focus too much on DB instead of edge DT. No, that there is a concern, but I will say this. They got a lot of fits and they got a lot of talent at the DB, so that worked out okay. Yes, they need more, but I think Melvin was kind of their plan, and I know they have the draft pick. I won't say that they're totally done, but I think they're more comfortable with that, and I think there was more pressing need at DB.
I'm hoping.
Thank you, Teddy. Zach, are you really trying to get are they really trying to get rid of Fenton, aren't they? I don't think so. I think they want to prove – I don't think Rashad took a step forward last year. I think he just stayed even. I think he has a lot more in him, and they're trying to push him a little bit. I don't think they're trying to get rid of him, though.
I'm not entirely sure he has more in him, to be honest with you. I think that what Jamar Chase did to him multiple times last year and what some other receivers can do in that type of mold showed them that they need more size, guys that can get the ball and find it. And Fenton is fine for what he is, but I do think he's tapped out. As a 6th-round pick, he's gotten way more expectation than I ever thought he could. And that's part of the thing. Charvarius Ward, UDFA, Fenton, 6th-round pick.
6th-round pick.
They needed to find a way to get more upside, and this is their way of doing it, in my opinion. And I think that this is Fenton. This is an all-you-got type of situation. You want to make the team. You want to stay in Kansas City. This is talking to everybody outside of your starters. Like, you guys got to show me something.
If you're not LJ Snead, you better be getting better. You know what I mean? And LJ had a down year as a sophomore as well. Like, that was kind of because of the change to the nickel, but everybody's going to keep going. Dave, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate your support. Do you think Chenal will be a day one starter? He absolutely is. Yes. He is your Sam right now.
Right now.
And no offense to the other guys that they brought in, but they're special teams players. They always were, like, we knew they still had a gap, right? I will say this too. They have a UDFA named Mike Rose from Iowa State, who is kind of the antithesis of Chenal. Like, he's a coverage only guy that doesn't blitz and doesn't attack the ball very well. Like, he could be a 1-for-1 swap. Like, Mike Rose could make this roster.
Interesting. I like it.
Let's see. Sinsana, and thank you, Dave. Appreciate you. Who would you like to take place as a receiver 2 after Kelsey? Moore, Juju, or McCole? I don't care. One of you guys make it happen. I want to see those 3 guys battle. And I will say this. The Chiefs did really good in following my evaluations. So they were really close to where I had stuff in terms of, like, they took Sky Moore right where I had him. They took McDuffie right where I had him. The only one that they went a little higher than me, and it was only by not even 20, it was 18 spots, was Karlaftis, right? Everybody else, they took in the ranges where they belonged, and I think they did really well with that. So Moore, Juju, McCole, they should all be battling it out.
Give me Sky Moore.
Dave Bell. Yeah, you got that? Okay. Dave Bell, thank you very much for your support. Justyn Ross, man, I hope he's healthy. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Hefe, we talked on that already. I know a lot of folks were asking about him, though. Big Chief Sean, how are you? You guys make sure you go sub to Big Chief Sean's channel as well. You'll see him on here, but you got to watch his stuff too. I have to hear it from you both of you guys. What is your Chiefs post-draft grade? Who is your standout, and who is your worry? I give him an A. and I don't know about standout versus worry, because there's so much volume here. I will say this. I like the Joshua Williams pick. Don't expect him to become a starter right away. Like he needs some time. Right? Yeah, he needs some time, but I do think he'll make this roster. So just give him a break. And I'll say my favorite player is the guy we haven't talked about. I like Brian Cook, man. He is going to lay some wood, and I am ready for it.
That third safety role, that dime backer, he is going to just find someone. I talked a little bit about it on ESPN Radio today. He's the same as Chenal. Point him in the right direction, go hit somebody. Just do it. Right. Those two guys are built from the same cloth. Just run after and hit somebody. But I have an A- for this draft. The only reason it's A-, you guys know, I talked a little bit about it, is because I think that George Karlaftis was a little bit of a disappointment for myself. That's it. It's me.
Okay.
He's gonna be a starter. He's gonna be a guy you come in, and I know that he's gonna do that. I'm just hoping that he can get to his ceiling, which is, in my opinion, Trey Henderson. If he turns into that, this turns into an A+ beyond,
right?
Because if he reaches that ceiling, that's all it's about, is getting there. Yeah. But my favorite pick, my absolute favorite pick, is Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie is my dude. I thought he was going at 12. I had him projected to 12 to the Vikings.
Serious?
I thought he was going that high. And they get him at 21, and he's the smartest corner in this draft, in my opinion, by a wide margin. He knows everything. He sees everything. Just, I love him, and I can't wait to see him. My only thing is, I'm actually kind of excited about Pachenko being like a return guy. I think he can be a returner. It would be interesting. Yeah. I don't really have a true worry in a sense. Like, the only thing, my one worry is they took five secondary guys. That's my one thing. I think you could have spread around a little bit, defensive tackle here and there, defensive end here and there, but I get the value that if they saw somewhere else. So that's my only quote unquote worry.
I'm down with you. Take this one. I'm going to double check this for somebody else.
All right. Thank you, Corey, for the question. Thoughts on Lonnie Johnson just acquired via trade? Sorry if it's been asked. Yeah, it has been asked a little bit, but we'll go ahead and recover for everybody else. We kind of talked about off the top, but he's a guy who had a lot of traits coming out. I think Ryan had a second on him. I don't have one for myself because I was just starting this business not too long ago, but he's got a lot of traits. He's bigger, and I think that he was easily played out of position last year as a safety. I think he played multiple as free safety and strong safety, if I'm not mistaken on that, but he wants to play corner. So he wanted out of Houston, or able to get a trade, but he's going to compete in our opinion for a starting spot on this roster with that length, with the speed, with the size. So I think that he's got an opportunity to have a rejuvenation in Kansas City coming from Houston.
I'm with you. Yeah, he definitely has all of it. I'll have to look him back up, but I just looked up somebody for another question. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Throwback. Why didn't Veach draft a DT? We still don't have a dominant presence up front. I believe it's been the reason why we can't stop the run every year. It's because, quite frankly, the DT class was very limited. My number 4 guy was Travis Jones that fell all the way to like 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Like, there just wasn't that volume of good dudes. Kudos to the Raiders. They did a good job in getting both Butler and Neil Farrell.
Yes.
But those are 2 guys that are role players that are like, mid day 3. That's how good this draft wasn't for the defensive tackles. So
it was bad.
Was just a tough one.
It was bad. Like, there weren't legit standouts. There were a couple, and they were in the first, second round. Like, and Kansas City had their eyes set somewhere else. It was a bad defensive tackle draft.
Haji, would you say that we filled all of our needs? If Melvin Ingram is the designated pass rusher, then I would say yes.
I agree.
Ross isn't healthy yet. You're right. He is cleared to practice, but he's not 100% risky. That's a fair point.
Correct.
Ryan, McDuffie and Snead on the outside, or Fenton and Snead on the outside, or Fenton and Snead on the outside. Yeah. Which way are you guys leaning?
I'm now, leaning McDuffie and Snead
on the outside and Fenton inside.
Well, all of that just for the outside. Like, right now, that's what all that just. So I think the starters are going to be McDuffie and Snead on the outside, and then when they go to nickel, that's a different story. But
yeah, okay, fair enough. You're just talking about 2 top.
Yeah.
Okay, Pie Dessert. He's going to be the next pup list gem. Yeah, I think that he might even make NFI, non-football injury. That true. May just be it. Can you go over the status of last year's draft class? Yeah. In depth off the top of my head, I mean, Creed, Trey, Bolton, bada boom. You're in pretty good shape there. I don't want to talk trash on Noah Gray, but I don't know if he's going to get there. Don't get overexcited if he blasts out in OTAs because it didn't mean jack last year.
Yeah.
So I got to see it on the field. So let's hold off on that. And then Powell, obviously, was there another pick or was that it?
It was Kendo.
Kendo. Yeah. I have no idea.
No clue. Kendo, Gray, Powell, pretty much unknowns at this point. Yeah. Even though Noah Gray played, like
it's tough. Which CB could move over to safety if Thornhill is cut during or after Spag's not confident in Thornhill? He might not be. I think, honestly, Thornhill might be in a position to take some of the robber stuff. I could be wrong. But if something happens, you need to move a corner. You could move Johnson, although I wouldn't recommend it. You can move Fenton, and I think that would actually be kind of good. Who else could you move? You might be able to move Boodle, too.
I was about to say, you got Boodle. You could technically move Snead because he played safety in college.
True.
So there's a lot of options because they love having kind of tweener safety corner guys. They love that kind of crap.
And you still got Zane Anderson, and you still got Devin Key. So, like, if one of those guys takes a step, you never know.
So many safeties.
Ryan Thompson, can they put Karlaftis inside and put Leo on the end on passing downs, or would Leo get handled there? I mean, like I said before, like, Leo Chenal can rush the passer as an overhang, but like as a true edge, I don't think he's got the hand usage yet or that kind of thing. He is a raw player. They're both raw players. I don't think you move Karlaftis inside to put Leo outside. I think you move Karlaftis inside to let Melvin rush the edge. But blitz the snot out of Leo too. I think that could be a heck of a NASCAR package. Pi, does the draft tell you that we think Malik Herring could give us something? I think that could be inferred from it. I won't say that it won't happen. That's for sure. We just don't know enough yet. We'll see next week if he's out there running around. How long is the Ross contract? It's just a 1 year. He's just a UDFA. So they would have to extend him, et cetera, next year. Leon, thank you for your support. Cincy coach Lou Fuchel was in the trenches with Dave Laughlin and said in the winter that he had their little combine and Cook ran 4.45 Yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head. Let me look at it. But Cook ran decent this year too. Or maybe he didn't know. He did not.
I was about to say, I thought it was a 4.6 something. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was like, he did not actually run the official, as I understand. Yeah, we didn't get an official return on him. So, yeah, like he's definitely got the speed. And you see when he recognizes he can fire, like that is not a question, Leon. He's going to be fine. So we have Snead, McDuffie, Johnson, Williams, Watson. What do you think the other guys to make the squad, like Baker or the other guys? I think Boodle has a chance. I think Baker has a chance. I like Watson. I think the Lonnie Johnson trade might bump him out, though.
For sure.
He definitely had a draftable grade on him, but this is going to be competition. You could also practice squad half these guys and keep them too.
That's true.
The practice squad is a good thing for the Chiefs because guys want to stay with the organization. So you have a little bit of an edge there. Somewhere I mentioned Cook and McDuffie could fluctuate with Robert in their respective roles. How well do you think that they could succeed at that? I mean, man, it depends. The question would be is if Cook could, if you had a tight end that wasn't elite in terms of speed, then I think you could switch that up and Cook could take them as like a misdirection switch up of responsibilities. But if you get somebody elite, Waller, Kittle, those guys, like I don't think that's the best idea.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Julian's back. I think Veach is waiting until next year to improve the D-line. Thoughts? Yeah, I think he's treading water because of the class myself.
Yeah, I don't think he had much of a choice. He saw what he had. Maybe if Devontae Wyatt fell, or maybe if Jordan Davis had fallen to 30, maybe they changed direction. Maybe they changed course. But I think that he saw what happened and they just knew the class. He was just kind of at the mercy of that.
Brother Rick, thank you. Max, thank you. You guys were getting a ton of super chats, so I am going to start going and only stacking those. I think we've addressed most everybody's question here so far. So we're going to switch over to all super chats now, unless you're already in the stack, and we'll just make it through that in 604. Thank you, Dean. Great work from both of you on draft night. Cheers.
Appreciate you.
So happy you guys, I have super chatted about were drafted. Good job. Yeah. Hey, you have the recognition skills, my friend. Can't wait for Chenal coming downhill on Josh Allen on an RPO. Yeah. And that's the thing is Leo's like lateral quickness, his agility is good enough that like Allen's not going to be able to give him a shoulder and just get away like he has on a lot of other linebackers.
No, it's fun. It's fun. Like this.
Yeah.
That pick was made specifically for a Josh Allen type of player. Like that's exactly what he was made for.
And I know it's coming up. Someone asked about his athleticism. I'm going to give you guys the comparison when we get to the question in the stack. I just want to say thank you for all that you guys do for the draft. It's been awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
And thank you for all of your participation, like on the streams, but in the comment sections as well. We really appreciate hearing from you guys. What are you doing? What are they doing behind Noddy? It looks thin. Well, it's Noddy, Saunders, and Turk. Like, so like three guys that are in the system. They feel a little bit comfortable there. I think they could add to it. I thought they signed somebody too that I thought had a chance.
It was someone from Indy, I think. I don't remember the guy's name, but I do know
Oh, yeah,
they did sign a depth guy from Indy, I believe.
He was a rotational dude. They went veteran in there because the draft class is so weak. David, thank you again. Appreciate you. Night Hunter, thank you.
Night Hunter.
What free agent player could make this team? That's a great question, James. When I look at it, I think the best bet right now is probably Mike Rose. Because I think you're comfortable at 4 linebackers right now. He could be the 5th or the 6th. I think they could keep 6. It just depends on the DBs, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I'm going to incorporate the 7th round picks into that because it's essentially what they are. And I think Pachenko has a chance to make it because he's a speed element running back, and I think he can return kicks. And he reminds me when he's running in open field like a Byron Pringle. That's what he reminds me of when he's running. He's a bit faster. So I think he has an opportunity to be a return man in this roster.
Yeah, that's cool. And I like his attitude. I didn't watch running back film this year other than the majors.
He's
because I just don't care. But
he basically runs like Byron Pringle. Like he's not a hugely elusive dude, but he's got the size to be like a 3-down running back, but his change of direction isn't the best. We'll say that.
And he's got a top gear too, though, right?
Yeah. 4.37. Okay. Yeah, he's got a top gear.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Boogie, does Leo Chenal year 1 improve the pass rush as a better version of Reggie Ragland if he develops in coverage? Could be Demario Davis be his ceiling? I don't see Demario Davis in his future. Demario's pretty good coverage, dude. I won't say no because as Leo said, like, he's made a lot of improvement in the last 3 years, and he wasn't asked to play coverage. So when they teach him up, he could. I won't say no, but I love the comparison to Reggie coming off the edge as the overhand Sam. That's him all day. Ask
me this question in a year. Because like you said, Wisconsin's a very specific defense. They ask their players to do this, you do that. It's much like Georgia's. It's very, you go do this, and we'll scheme it out the other way. Ask me again in a year. Because I think we'll see what they want to do with him and what he can do more of after this first year.
Okay. Let's see. Getting there. We're getting there. Joseph, thank you very much, sir. Love the content this past weekend. Biggest surprise of the draft. Doesn't have to be the Chiefs related. Thanks. Biggest surprise for me is that, well, I should be more confident than that. I was a little surprised that I'm the only one that got Zappy right, but I was shocked that none of the quarterbacks went in round 2 at all.
That has to be the biggest surprise. Like every year we pump up quarterbacks because teams need them, and the NFL said, not this class. Not this class.
Don't do it.
They weren't going to do it. And the fact that they didn't want him in the second round. That was the biggest thing. That Kenny Pickett went first to the Steelers, which I didn't think was a big fit for them at all. I thought 2 other quarterbacks fit them a little bit better than Kenny did. Yeah, I thought 2 other guys did. And then they just were gone. There was no more quarterbacks taken until round 3. Like, it's shocking, but it makes sense because we didn't evaluate them that way. Like, we didn't.
Like, kudos to the NFL. You actually listened to the UDFAs this year.
It's great. Appreciate you.
Well done. Thank you, Joseph. David, thank you again, as always. Ryan, I don't feel like I'm being a Chiefs homer when I say this was an A draft. No, you're absolutely right. I have it the same way. And Dan has it just a little bit lower.
Just a little.
Dylan, thank you. I had 5 streams open. Oh, my God. How did you even listen to that? RGR Locked On. Grossy's hilarious. McAfee in the draft. Switch between Dan and Locked On for my audio, though. That's awesome. Thanks, Dylan. If you would, leave a comment about what you liked about that draft stream on Locked On and what you didn't, because I'd like to take the feedback back to the execs, and we'll try to tune it up for next year. Thank you, Dylan. Whoa, with all the defensive picks, this message being sent loud and clear that Spags better get it done. I agree with you. You can't complain, especially because if you guys heard the post-draft call to Karlaftis, like, this was a Spags pick. They let Spags go get what he wanted. If it doesn't work out, it's on Spags.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you that right now. As it should be, because I'm guessing the scouting staff understood the lack of some of the flexibility and lateral agility and warned him about it. And they went with it anyway, because that's who we wanted. Joshua, why did Kennard slide? Again, his feet, like we talked about before. I love that he's pissed off, though. That makes me happy as a clan. I will say this. I thought he was almost a little, like, too pissed off when you're talking to the owner and shit of the team that did just draft him.
Right.
Like,
just a little bit.
He still seemed pissed. Like, just be a little happier, dude. This is the dude who said yes to you, But I don't know.
All right, I gotta kick off, guys. My daughter just started her routine by herself, so she's stuck in the bathroom if I don't go help her. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
appreciate y'all for the weekend, and I will see you guys tomorrow with my next video.
Rock and roll. Have a good night.
You too.
How about Chenal number 5 tees? I will try to come up with something with like that. I saw some meme on social media. I'll try to see what I can come up with. If you have a design, Super Juice, let me know. Hefe, thank you very much. If you guys would hit the thumb and then like the channel, or like the thumb is the like on the video, sub the channel, hit the bell. It's all good that way. People say Leo Chenal reminds them of Luke Kuechly. Whew. Downhill. Yeah, I could see that. He is explosive and he attacks the ball carrier a lot like Kuechly did in college. He doesn't turn and drop, like play backwards as well. But again, hasn't been asked to at Wisconsin. He's been a downhill guy by design at Wisconsin. So let's see what he can become. I think both he and Karlaftis still have upside that may have them looking fairly different as a third-year pro than how they looked in college. What's the biggest airball pick by Veach and company? I don't see many airballs. Trying to think. They didn't pick a punter, so that's a plus. I don't have film on the Marshall safety, their last pick. So I would say that's probably got to be it. But I do trust that they had film and they liked it. So, Luke, thank you for your support. What do y'all think about the UDFA from Iowa State, Mike Rose? After watching his highlights, I understand the highlights for a reason. Yes. But he also had 5 picks. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, he gives you something they hadn't had. Like, I wanted them to prioritize a coverage linebacker. They didn't want to. They wanted the downhill, the physicality of Chenal. Okay, fine. He's kind of the antithesis of that. He's the opposite. And I think there's a lot there that you can like. I think he has a chance to make this roster. I'll tell you that. He could be the 4th, 5th linebacker, specifically for his coverage ability. How many picks do we have in the next draft? They gave up the 7th today. I think they got 2 extra for Tyreek for next season. So I think they have 8 currently. So we got Jerry and Ely, the UDFA. Yes. Convert him to a receiver? No. I hope not for his sake, because he's not making it as a receiver on this roster. There's way more room for him at running back than there is at receiver. He does catch the ball pretty well. From what I saw, again, I didn't do his evals. Just watched him for, generalities, but he does catch the ball well. And so that's a feather in his cap. Which of the players we got is your favorite? Like, my favorite player to watch is Brian Cook. He does it all. I'm really happy for him. And it's funny because a lot of the draft boards when we were doing mocks, they had him down in the 120, 140 range, which was freaking ridiculous. So I was really glad to see him be selected not only by Kansas City, but in an appropriate place for him. Saw someone, thank you, Boogie, and thank you, Quentin. Saw somebody compare George to Trey Hendrickson. Yep, coming out of FAU. as athletes with similar traits. What's your guys' take on that? And can Brendan Daly juice that guy up? We agree that that's exactly who Dan and I put in our evals, that like that's his top side. I think more likely is probably the other kid from Purdue, Ryan, whose name is escaping me for some reason right now, Kerrigan, who I don't think is as good as Trey Hendrickson. So let me say that, like, Hendrickson I would put above him. But it's not Brendan Daly that'll be doing it. It'll be Joe Cullen. Brendan Daly's taking over the linebacker level. They made that switch on the staff. So Brendan Daly has moved to linebackers now, guys. He will not be coaching the defensive line. So we're going to have to see how that goes as well. Hydra, thank you. Much rather would have taken Jermaine and Booth. I'm just glad we improved 2 positions anyways. I agree with you. Like, when that trade happened, I was thinking Jermaine, and I was hoping they would come back with Booth. Evidently, what I heard post-draft is that Booth's injuries were more significant than I knew about. And so that probably was never part of the equation, because teams were scared off, certainly as a first rounder, from Booth and his injury history. Thank you, Brother Rick. Appreciate you. Who do you think the sleepers are among the UDFA draft picks? I mean, the sleepers, Crum, he could be the 3rd quarterback. He's got some moxie, man. I watched him play Wyoming when I was doing Chad Mooma's film, and he's got something. Like, he ran it in. He's tough. He throws an accurate ball. Like, I liked what I saw on film from him. So, hey, it is what it is. I don't know that he can win that competition. He might just be a camp arm, but we're going to find out. And I think if there was a sleeper for me, it would probably be him. Hydra, what's up? Thanks, man. Napoleon. Okay, you were the person that asked about Chenal. So Chenal was my number 3 linebacker in the matrix. Malcolm Rodriguez was 1 by a pretty good margin. And then Channing Tindall and Leo were like less than a 10th apart. Channing Tindall went just before Leo Chenal on the actual draft. So like that made perfect sense. But they are both top 3. Leo was number 3. His best attribute in measurement was his explosive range, because he does have that downhill, but he was better than either of the guys above him in change of direction, in the agilities. So that's important. Now, to just put that, I had a 96 grade on his matrix, right? Willie Gay came in at a 99.1. So, like, there's a vast difference still in terms of that athleticism. Nick was a 94, if I remember correctly. I don't have that in front of me, but that's kind of the gradient for where you are. So he's more athletic in terms of overall, and certainly in the agilities, than Nick, but he's not the athlete that Willie is. So he's a nice middle right there. Flapjack, after getting drafted, he said, "I'm going to be one of the most violent guys on the field." Give me your thought. I mean, that's his MO. That's his game. And I love that, because you got to keep teams honest. And the physicality portion of it in today's game has been lost, because most guys who want to play that physical aren't the athletes to actually chase down the faster athletes on offense. He is. So he can actually do that. And I'm pretty excited to watch him play. He was drafted again right in the range where I thought he should go. So I'm pretty happy with the value they got. And I think he can grow into easily. He should be a starter now. He can grow into probably, he could be a top 20 linebacker in this league. Thank you for the support. Same to you, Max. Thank you. Do you think that we were in conversations to trade for Jameson Williams or similar trade that the Lions pulled off? It seems like it would have been and had draft compensation better than the Lions picks. As I understand it, yes, they were inquiring about that. The cost just got too much for what they were willing to do. And there was a lot of demand because they had 2 first-round picks. People wanted for 2 first-rounders and all that crap. In the end, it was too much for what Brett Veach wanted to do. So they backed off then. Then when they saw McDuffie dropping, that's when they were like, oh, well, you can go do that. So I like that they did that. And it was very specifically for McDuffie that they did trade up. Like, it was because he was available and they could predict that he was going to be available. So I'm glad that they saw the opportunity and took it. So well done. Good execution on the Chiefs front office. Thanks, Max. Zach, thank you. Oh, tap that too many times. I have a feeling Pacheco will be the steal of the draft. Imagine him behind our line. He passes the eye test at the second level speed. Yes, the second level speed is absolutely there. I think in terms of the running back, that's going to be a hard row to hoe to actually call him the steal of the entire draft because of, positional need is positional need. So it is what it is. I think Kennard's going to be it. A lot of the people that I respect around the league and in draft media feel the same way, that Kennard was it was a great, great selection at where they got him. So either way, I think the Chiefs are going to be in good shape. And I am going to run down the UDFA team as well, and we'll do grades on all the selections that's coming up this week here before they get in and start practicing. Ryan, thank you. So freaking excited about the disguising and exotic stuff Spags can do. Yes, and with better athleticism at every level, it lets you do more disguising. I'm excited about that as well. Scott, will Casey get a comp pick for Tyrant to the Saints? No, they will not. They did it 2 minutes after the expiration of that. So he will not count in the comp formula. Red Royce, I'm 20 plus minutes behind. Get pumped up. Ready to see our new D play. I'm glad that you are, Royce. And you should be pumped up. I'm excited to see it. Is there a universe that exists where Moore and Ross are starting Z and X to begin the season 2 to 3 years from now? It's a stretch, but it is a possibility. More at the Z for sure. Ross has a lot of recovery to go to be a starting X, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. We won't know until we see if he even makes the roster first. Let's see where he's at as a starting point. Julian, now you can rush from the base defense with Chenal. Thoughts? And if we drafted Jalen Carter, where would you put him? I would put him, man, I probably wouldn't play a shaded nose as much. I'd leave the A gaps alone, and I'd put Chenal in one of the A gaps as a stand-up, and I would just run that spread 4 all the time, because Carter one-on-one or even doubled in the A gap is incredible. I think he's going to be a steal. And like rush with Chenal, yes, but I think as a blitzing linebacker or an overhang, not as a true edge rusher. I do just want to make that clear. Ryan, not Chiefs related, but your opinion on Cole Strange. I like Cole Strange. I'm kind of with McVay and Snead though. I had him as a 3rd round guy. So again, kudos to Bill. Way to get it done. But yeah, that was a little out there for me too. Chris Weeks, do you think they picked Tyndall instead of Chenal if he was there? I honestly can't tell you. Tyndall's a lot more risk because he was never a starter. He didn't have the number of snaps. Like, he was just as physical, and he's actually a slightly better athlete, not by much. It's very, very small, you guys. Like, it's 41/100ths. So, I mean, that tells you. But I just don't know how they had him evaluated. Liz, thank you again for our newest moderator and taking over the mantle. Will I do a special victory dance? Y'all don't want to see me dance, but like I can do something, something crazy and stupid. You never know. But thank you, Liz. Avery, say someone says in 2 years Josh Williams could be better than McDuffie. If that happens, crazy value. Absolutely, that would be crazy. I don't necessarily see it, but I do see him pushing to be close behind. I don't know about close behind. What I saw on tape was a guy that was dominating lower level of competition. He's certainly good, but until he goes up against the same competition, I won't be able to tell you. He definitely was lower down my board because he didn't get to play against true NFL caliber talent. So it's hard for me to make that jump, but I can definitely see McDuffie, and Snead being the future of the position. All right, let's go. We only have a couple more folks, and we're going to wrap her up. DC's taking a vet DT in free agency as well as Ingram. Thank you, Matthew. I think that they will definitely explore it. I think they might be looking to trade too. There are some teams that did draft some DTs that now maybe their older vets are expendable or tradable. I don't think that Brett Veach is done, and I think that's smart. That is a good thing. Alex, thank you. I see some Eric Berry and Cook. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's his knack for being in the right place and knowing when to attack the ball carrier. I agree with you. Like there's a piece of that in there. I hadn't identified that before either, Alex. Thank you. And Jeff, slight pivot away from the draft. Based on what we saw from Jody Fortson last year, what are your feelings about having him back? I'm excited. I hope he's fully recovered. If he is, he can be a tight end too. No doubt about it. And I think he will be a weapon that they can exploit. I love that they've gotten bigger at the wide receiver spot, but bigger with Jody makes a big difference as well. So anyway, that's it for me tonight. Got to go do the draft show as we are walking down our grades at Locked On NFL Draft. Check that out. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I certainly did. We'll be back next Monday as always. Dan has Leo Chenal film tomorrow night. He has McDuffie film on Wednesday night. I'm going to have draft grades through the week. We're going to go over and I'll do something on the UDFAs. You members will have a video from me this week, exclusive for you guys as well. And if you are new members, make sure you email me over at rgrpodcast@gmail so we can get you in the Discord. You want to go do that and talk with Liz and Aaron and Stevie and Gooch and all the guys over there and all of our core members. Also, check out NFL33.com. If you're not a subscriber yet, go get subbed because it's going to be about the league and a lot of team building all across and how it affects everything, not just the Chiefs, but it will affect the Chiefs. And if you are going to be a paying subscriber, you're going to get some new stuff on next year's draft class and what the Chiefs might have already identified as guys that allow them to do some of these things. There's a lot going on. I hope you guys are ready for it. I certainly am. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow.